Jimmy didn't know was that Ralph was sick, a sickness that was not visible like smallpox, but no less dangerous and contagious.
Hello, Wussies, and welcome back to QueerHouse, or Half a House, where we try and make sense of artsy-fartsy gay movies. Right around the corner, you're on lockdown. You're probably getting ready to watch every gay movie ever. This year though, while I was picking the girls off the shelf getting ready for my viewing moment, I realized that some of the girls might not actually be the girls. Some of the girls were made by the heteros. The trend of making gay movies without yourself being gay is nothing new. Famed filmmaker Alfred Hitchcock made roughly 3 movies about gay men solely because he thought that they were more edgy and more dramatic. Now there is definitely a big yikes, and I don't love it, but at the same time, one of these films, being Rope, is one of not only my favorite Hitchcock movies, but like favorite movies, period. And because of that, I really went back and forth on, well, is it always best that LGBT groups tell LGBT stories? Like, in some cases the answer is obviously yes, very much so yes. The first one that always comes to mind for me is Blue is the Warmest Color. The plot always reminded me of the Wachowski sisters' Bound, as well as, oddly enough, Babbitt's But I'm a Cheerleader, and that all 3 films are somewhat steamy portrayals of young girls having a coming of gay while meeting a European-looking stud. The difference being that the 2 made by queer women aren't exploitative. Blue, on the other hand, has been defined by everyone but its male director as artsy lesbian porn with a plot. However, I can also think of situations that the inverse apply. Kimberly Pierce's Boys Don't Cry may have been praised at its time for being cutting-edge queer commentary, but that's the problem. It's not about a man and his story, it's about, oh, woe is me. It's so hard to be a trans man. If only the world was nicer. In the same way that a lot of stories written by the heteros about gay people fall into that story. But like, Pierce is one of us. Like, she's a les, so like, she should know better. Like, she should know better. And yet she still did it. High-key, the film goes so hard into the FTM melodrama that a role written for Elliot Fletcher is less dramatic. Bret Easton Ellis, who is the brain behind American Psycho, also has a book-turned-film called The Rules of Attraction, which is very similar to Luca Guadagnino's, sorry I completely messed that up, but his film Call Me By Your Name. 2 stories about young men who get hit with the feels when a maybe kinda sorta close enough to straight boy denies them. Also, both are written by gay men. Luca's strong suit as a director is that he presents these wrenching, authentic, upsetting moments in this picture-perfect, beautiful veneer to where everything feels more like a recollection, a memory of something based in the emotional and less in the logical, which really suits itself for the story that's being told, especially given the characters' ages and their context. Ellis, on the other hand, tends to have writing that is very serious satire, which doesn't know where one starts and where one ends. So even we have an interesting topic, that being falling for straight boys, I can't care because I don't really know how much the film cares or how much it just wants to be American Pie. I think he just likes to show people in the 80s being coded gay and messy. Like, that's the gig. Which, speaking of mess, let's talk about straight men and their history with trans girls. Sean Barker's Tangerine is arguably the best moment in history for T-girls. Probably because they actually let the girls be actual people. Ridiculous people, yes, but they still get to have feelings and thoughts and actions and reactions, sometimes due to being trans. As opposed to someone like, Angel from Rent. Angel is the brokest, sickest, weirdest girl of the bunch, and yet she has to sit there and, well, be an angel. She spends all her screen time helping others and being their queer spiritual guide, keeping them on the right path, all the way to the grave. and even beyond the grave with Mimi. Even in how Chris Columbus frames her scenes to be filmed from a distance, coupled with the fact that he changes the script to where the straight cis girl, the aforementioned Mimi, gets to live and she dies in her place, just really gives off the vibe that he wasn't very comfortable with Angel. That he kind of took her on because he had to take her on, and not because he actually cared about her story. After all those examples, I still can't give you a concrete answer. Like, on one hand, I truly value and see the importance in having LGBT crew members working on films. But at the same time, is it worth having them tell our stories if the way they're going to tell them is both boring and bad? And that's not even addressing like half the straights. Like, we even go to the Danish girl, like, we do not have the time today. And that's about it for today, so bye, Wussy, bye.